Welcome to Red Barn Talks, where stories flow like the stream and the rocks can outtalk me. Hello, I'm Lo, and this is your backstage pass to the incredible Barn family, the soul folk healers and seekers behind Red Barn Rocks. Today we head back to 2016 and the archives of Twigs Cafe Radio, a return to Barbara Graver. It was an honor to interview Barbara Graver nearly 10 years ago on Twigs Cafe Radio. Her insights into dreams, mysticism, and the metaphysical left a lasting impression, and a decade later, she continues to inspire. Barbara is a multi-creative spiritual seeker, a writer, podcaster. Barbara is the creator of The Mystic Review, which she began in 2010 to explore topics like dreams, metaphysics, spirituality, and the unexplained. Since then, she's expanded her creative work to include genre fiction, the Autistic POV podcast, and additional writing on Substack. Today, you can find her writing and podcasting at mysticreview.com, exploring autism, creativity, and neurodivergence at barbaragraver.com, publishing paranormal fiction, including her debut vampire novel, Trancing Miranda. Whether she's decoding dreams or diving into neurodivergence and creativity, Barbara's voice remains as thoughtful, curious, and grounded as ever. We're so grateful to have been a small part of her evolving journey, and even more grateful to watch it continue.
Disclaimer: Twigs Cafe Radio and TwigsCafeRadio.com and its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions, statements, or claims made by the talk show hosts or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the station.
Hello, and welcome to Truth Seekers News on Twigs Cafe Radio. We are live today, and joining us is Barbara Graver. If anybody would like to call in, Barbara is medium psychic.
And Barbara does readings right over the phone, so she said she'll do your reading today.
There we go.
That's for you,
Barbara, only if it's good. Yeah, we've had a heck of a week. If it sounds like we're disorganized, yes. I do have
some new grandbaby.
I do have some good news. Yeah. Yes. 6 pounds, 2 ounces.
I'm the most beautiful baby in the world.
Absolutely.
I understand. Oh, yeah.
But I do have to say this. My daughter-in-law, she has green eyes, and Brian has brown eyes, and Avery has blue eyes. And the little girl has a little turned up nose, and nobody in our side of the family has to believe me, a turned up nose, a little tiny button nose. I'm starting to wonder. I keep an eye on the mailman and the milkman out there. No, she's beautiful, and everybody's doing well. Mommy and baby and dad are all doing good, and she's a sweetheart. But it has put me behind this week for a good reason.
You got Barbara Graver there, and she's going to straighten you all out.
I hope so. Oh, Barbara, please. So, yes, and you can find Barbara on different sites, Mystic Review and
.com, yep. She has a radio show and a blog and all kinds of other stuff. So welcome to the show, Barbara.
Yes, welcome, Barbara.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Congratulations on the grandbaby.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Just a sweetheart. But my week's been a whirlwind of...
I can imagine.
Yeah, but it's been wonderful.
But how nice.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Just wonderful. So, and Barbara, tell me, and I just remembered this. I don't know if you know anything about it or can shed some light on it. Tonight is the green moon? No?
Well, that I don't know. I do know it's the full moon in Scorpio. I'm not an astrologer. I do write on astrology, and I don't consider myself a medium either. I don't do tarot reading. That's my forte.
So go ahead and tell everybody, since we kind of messed that whole thing up. Tell everybody what we're...
Tonight is the full moon in Scorpio, and that is actually considered to be on the 22nd, but I think it's like 1:20, 1:25 in the morning. So it is tonight. And the energy of Scorpio to me is a transformative energy. It's a very transformational. It's a very powerful moon. And I think that it's a really excellent time to do any kind of inner work, meditation, reading for yourself, journaling. I put a few things on the blog, like little suggestions people could do. Any kind of transformational magic people might want to do. It's an excellent time for that. With Scorpio, it's always about bringing things under the surface kind of to light. So there's that transmutations, kind of potential with Scorpio. So it's an important moon. It really is an important moon, and it's got a nice energy. I enjoy it.
It's certainly being felt, I think, all over. It's lent itself to the week and everything like that. And Barbara, go ahead. And like I said, we kind of have been running without being able to do a little bit of research on this. So please tell everybody what you do and invite them to your sites and let everybody know all about you.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you, Lori. I do tarot reading, and I do have a reading site, which is readingsbybarbara.com. And I read over the air. I have an internet radio show on Blog Talk. And the best way to get info on that is probably to go to my reading site, the Readings by Barbara. But I read every Sunday, unless I have an event, which I do have a couple coming up. But unless I have an event, I'm on the air on Sundays at 1. And I do about 10 minutes of a topic, because there's some people who do listen for the topics. So I do that first. And then for the remainder of the half hour, usually we go over, I do reading, short readings for people who call in.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's it with the reading.
Mm-hmm. And with the readings, how do you go about doing that? How do you put together a reading for someone?
Well, it depends. On-air readings, they have to be kind of short. We can't get, and nor do people want to get into anything too in-depth on the air. But with an on-air reading, I'll usually do, I'll start with 3 or 4 cards. And I'll do a standard kind of a reading. I'll throw 1 card for the past, 1 card for the present, 1 card for future, more or less. But I always tell people, about the past and future issues. The cards from the past, I feel they come up for a reason. So it's something that may be in the past that is still exerting an influence. It's something you need to be aware of, need to look at. It could be something you need to release. It could be something you need to utilize. It depends on the card. And then the card in the present is kind of where they're at right now, to just get a little insight on that. I believe in reading tarot primarily for insight. And I do believe the cards have a predictive aspect, but I don't believe in fortune telling. I don't believe the future is fixed. I think they're a tool. And so when we get a card in the quote future position, that kind of thing, here's the direction you're going if you don't make any changes. And then every other card you pull is advice and counsel on how you might be able to change things to come up with an outcome that, is more what you desire. And it can be very validating and encouraging if it's the quote good card. I mean, there's really no good or bad cards. They all have a message. But I feel readings to be empowering, and I feel fortune telling is very disempowering for people. When you tell them, here's what's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it, that severely impacts their personal power. And I've had people tell me stories. They'll come and say, I met this wonderful girl, but a card reader told me I was going to meet a blonde girl named Denise. So I didn't pursue it. And that's a funny example, but it could be detrimental and serious.
Well, exactly. Yes,
so
yes,
that's
it could.
how I read, and it's kind of an interactive style. Not so much on the air. On the air, you don't necessarily get to go back and forth too much. And then when I do a longer reading at home or at an event, I will do longer reading. So it's a traditional reading, the Celtic cross reading that everybody's seen. And just because I think it's a great reading, it gives a lot of, it takes your situation and allows you to look at it from all these different perspectives. And to me, that's why the layout is so important with reading, because each card in that layout is giving you a different perspective on the reading.
On that.
So,
Well, Barbara, for the people that are out there that may not know what the tarot is or the different decks that there are and different layouts, just a brief example, or not example, but a little bit on that.
Explanation.
What they are.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the tarot's a deck of 78 cards. It's really there's 56 minor cards, what they call the major arcana. Arcana means secret. They're very like our traditional playing cards. They have an extra card. They have an extra court card. Why there's 56 instead of 52, but they're similar. There's suits. There's 4 suits. And each suit of the minor arcana is aligned with the element. So that's one way of looking at the cards. And then there's 22 cards, which are what they call the major arcana. And the major arcanas are more life issue kind of cards. They're more concept cards. For the minors, they're more kind of everyday stuff. When you do a reading, you start getting a lot of majors. That's when you realize you're doing something that might be impacting the person's life path. Some readers will say these are things you can't think. I don't agree with that at all. But they're things that are maybe impacting people's life path. They could be karmic issues. It's kind of a heads up that this is an important reading for them. So, and basically to read tarot, there's many, many different spreads you can do. The simplest spread, which I tell everybody to start out with, because I believe everyone could read their own card, is just to pull one card every day, just for guidance on your day. And then at the end of the day or the next morning, look at that card again and see, was there something in that card that helped you? Was there something in that card that, you could have paid more attention to? But that's a real good way for just the average person to start. And anyone can read their own cards. I'm a firm believer in that.
And when you say anybody can read their cards, do you have a book written? Do you have anything that you have that you can offer to help people with that?
No, I do. I started a book on my blog. My blog is mysticreview.com. And I started a book on that. There's this concept of blogging a book, which I thought this is great, where you actually do basically the first draft of your book on your blog. And it is nice because people give you feedback.
Yeah.
Normally, when you write something, you don't know till the end what people think of it. But with this, it's interactive. So people can give you feedback, which is helpful. So it's actually on my blog. I came up with 7 steps that were for me. I called it Card Reading for One. And I came up with 7 steps that were for me kind of fundamental to doing your own reading. And for me, it's not about getting a book and memorizing the meanings of all the cards. I read really intuitively, and I encourage people who read their own cards to start out reading that way too. And some people say throw away the book. I don't think throw away the book. But I think don't be too dependent on the book. Use the book, form your own relationship really with the card first, and then bring the book in. So if you're reading for yourself, there's potential pitfalls, and I don't want to use your whole time up.
You're doing wonderful.
Yourself. But you can't have problems with being too close to the issue. I don't recommend people try to do predictive reading for themselves. I don't think asking the cards if you're going to get a job or go on a certain date is really the best use of the card. For me, when you read for yourself, you should be reading for insight. And to me, that's the highest use of the card. So you would pull a card and you would really reflect on that card. And you don't do another reading until you really feel you understand what the reading you've done has to offer you. And I think reading for yourself is a huge opportunity to gain insight and for personal growth. So I recommend it. I think it's a great exercise for people.
Do you have a certain deck that you recommend for beginners that may be a little bit easier? I know they have all different ones out there now, from the traditional to the druid to animals.
Oh, they have so many decks now.
A lot of them are so beautiful. Oh, my goodness.
They are. Well, a lot of people say to start with the Rider-Waite, and I think it kind of depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to be a student of tarot and really understand the card and be able to give in-depth readings, possibly read for other people at some point, the Rider-Waite-Smith is the deck that almost all the books are written about. It has the standard symbolism. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you're only reading for yourself, I think that getting a deck that's kind of resonant with your belief system is a good idea, because reading for yourself is almost like a meditation. It's a very intuitive kind of an act. So I put on the blog a list of decks. I think I called it the deck by interest list.
Oh, so nice.
People can see what deck might appeal to them given their spiritual orientation or interest. But really, it's a deck you feel drawn to. I feel it's the best deck.
And now Lou gave me a confused look. Was the confused look over the types of decks there are?
Yeah, because this is all brand new to me.
Okay,
I don't know
okay.
where tarot came from. I don't know. You were talking about different decks. Barbara was just saying that about how your belief system falls into this stuff. I have no idea what Celtic the cross reading is. So yeah, this is like
sure tarot newbie here.
Yeah.
Oh, you definitely got a newbie here. That's for sure. Every show that we've done here, Barbara, it's a newbie for me, from astrology to numerology to Akashic records to tarot cards, the whole 9 yards. And every time
fun about it, though. I mean, really.
Oh, I've been having a blast. I've been hearing all kinds of stuff about myself. From past life to angels on my shoulders.
Some things he hasn't want to hear, but
Right.
he's taking it with a grain of salt. So well, let's see. Some of the decks, like, and you can explain it better, but just for instance, there is. I just saw this one, and I didn't realize they had it in deck form. There are the people that follow. Each animal has its own set of advice and what it stands for and stuff like that. So somebody has done a deck for, like, on the shamanic end of it, not maybe Native American, but the more natural.
Is Barbara doing a reading for you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. So
this would be fun after the next break or something. I would love to hear what's in store for you.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, basically, when I say choose a deck that aligns with your belief system, that's not a requirement, certainly. But it could even be interest. Like, there's an Asian deck, there's a Chinese and a Japanese deck, which both are beautiful. So if you have a real strong interest, like in Japanese art, that might be a good deck for you. If you have an interest in a specific kind of metaphysics, like Egyptian or fairy or Wicca, there's a deck for that. There's a deck for everything. So it's not necessary to do that, but I think the more personal your connection is with your deck, the more insight you're going to get from it.
Well, and you're going to want to look at it and want to see what the meaning is in the pictures. I study the I Ching, and I've studied that for years, and I feel that you can do some readings for people with the I Ching, but it's really was based on the pictures, the original, and of course we don't have those anymore. But the picture is so powerful that I think it resonates with a lot of people. We're here today with Barbara Graver, and I see here on your website you have dreams and a whole bunch of things. So tell us about the dream work that you do.
Okay, I'm a big believer in communicating with spirit through dreams. I do believe, only because it's been proven to me, that you can access other dimensions. You could communicate with loved ones who have passed. I have learned of the deaths of several close friends because they came to me in dreams. So to me, this is a huge and largely unexplored avenue of spirit. And we can get guidance in our dreams, I believe. I dream journal. I'm working on a print book, and I will wake up in the morning and see, what's this in my dream journal? And it's stuff I've written down in the night. I don't even remember, but it's for the book. So, and there's a long, long, long history of people getting ideas through a dream, like Einstein, like the periodic table, like the invention of the sewing machine, where people went to sleep with a problem and woke up with a solution because it was given to them in their dreams. So whatever your belief system, whether you think it's the collective unconscious, your subconscious, God, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, guidance is definitely available through a dream. The main thing with dreams that I always tell people, and it's the same thing I tell people with psychic work or cards, is to honor the dream. Write down your dreams. Never say it's just a dream. Always look at your dreams critically. Even if it seems like an odd, everyday dream, take a serious look at it, see what the dream trying to tell you, because it's like our relationship to me with people. If you have a relationship with someone and they're not listening to you, after a while you stop talking. And it's the same thing to me with spirit. I mean, not for the same reasons. It's not like they're offended, but it's just not worth it for spirit to try to communicate with us if we're not paying attention. So if you write down your dreams and honor your dreams, most people will, within a relatively short time, begin to get guided. So, yeah, and there's so much written on dreams. So Denise Lynn has a real good book on dreams. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a lot of information out there. And I have a lot of posts on the blog, too, certainly. But, yeah, I think dreams are huge. I think that everyone should be dreaming.
Well, now let me ask you. Now, you say dream journaling, and I understand the concept. How would you suggest starting that? Because I know I dream, but I don't know if I would be able to wake myself half enough to write it down. And then in the morning, I don't remember it. I used to be able to, but I don't anymore.
Right. That's really common. I think not everyone has to use a journal. Some people use their phones and record their dreams. That's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you may not quite, and then you do have to recopy it. But so that's an option. But the thing is to have the journal, to have it open, to have it by your bed, to have a good, really inky pen that you could write, that's not going to fail to write.
Right.
Yeah, like a good pen. And you might choose to have a night light on or something so you don't have to turn on the light. They say the lets you move around. Like you wake up and you have a fragment of the dream. And oftentimes we will recall our dreams in reverse. I don't know why this is, but you will recall, you'll say, oh, I was walking down the street. And then you'll be like, oh, before that, I was talking to my friend. And it will come back to you piece by piece, often in reverse.
That's true. It does for me anyway.
Yeah, it's true for a lot of people. And dreams are so fragile and they're so fleeting. I mean, it's a whole different kind of memory. To me, I don't think it's the physical memory, but the best thing to do is to move around as little as possible. So if you have a night light, that helps because you don't have to turn on the bright light. And just write down whatever you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of, you could get very deep into this with things like lucid dreaming, and there's actual protocols that have been written by psychologists like Stephen LaBerge on how to lucid dream. But just basically, once you set, I'm a huge believer in intention. And once you set that intention to remember your dream and to record it and to honor it and to see it as valuable and keep the pen and the paper there. As soon as you wake up, write down the last thing you remember. Don't move around too much. Look at it again during the day. They'll say, look at it during the day, give it a title, try to reflect upon it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
For most people, the dreams do start to come.
Now, do you believe that all dreams mean something, or are some just your brain kind of sorting things out, or are they all meaningful?
What I would say is not necessarily meaningful. I think all dreams on some level are healing.
Mm-hmm.
It depends. There are dreams that, to me, there are levels of dreams. A very high spiritual dream will have certain characteristics, like it will have vivid color and it will be coherent. And so there's certain characteristics of kind of like a high level dream. But oftentimes even our kind of ordinary dreams will have aspects of higher information sort of embedded in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're all valuable. I mean, some dreams will tell you more than others, certainly. But to me, they all have a message.
Very interesting.
Oh, I've been writing down questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Liv.
So Barbara, you mentioned that you write stuff down sometimes and you didn't remember it. I mean, that's amazing to me. So you actually get up and you write stuff down, and then in the middle of the night, and when you reread it, you don't remember even writing it down?
Yeah. Well, I don't get up. I don't get up because if I did, I'd probably forget. But no, I will. And oftentimes I'll remember. I mean, what it is, and I've been doing this for a while, often I'll wake up in the morning and I'll hear, it's almost like I'm being given dictation. And I'll hear, I'm like right in the middle of it. It's kind of like you're in class and you woke up and you're hearing the lecture, and I'll write down like what I get. And oftentimes it's for the book or the blog. But yeah, sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll look at my dream journal and be like, oh, okay, where'd that come from? Because it's not that I wrote it in my sleep. It's just that you forget it when you go back to sleep.
Right.
It's like you wake up in the middle of the night and have a dream, and oftentimes everybody does this because everybody's sleep deprived nowadays, which is another problem with recalling dreams. But you'll think, oh my God, that's such an amazing dream. I could never forget that. And yet the next morning you've forgotten it.
You forget. Yeah.
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 Is there times of your life where you have more dreams or no dreams, or is it, what happens if you don't dream at all? I mean, I guess people are dreaming, but you just don't remember dreaming?
Yeah, everybody dreams. As a matter of fact, there is a disorder, and I can't remember the name of it, but if you have that disorder that you don't dream, people who have that disorder actually will pass away. You can't live without dreaming. So it's huge, in my opinion. It's part of our spiritual healing that we have to have in order to just continue to do what we're here to do here on Earth. But you've had periods in your life where you don't remember your dreams for a lot of different reasons. With dream cycles, you have cycles of REM that get longer as the night progresses. So by the end of the night or morning, you're having your longest cycle of REM. So what might be, and I don't have the exact numbers, I'm sorry, but what might be like a 2 or 3 minute REM cycle in an hour towards the beginning of the night could be like a 20-minute cycle more towards the end. So if you're one of those people that's never getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep, you're always getting 5, 6 hours of sleep, you're not going to get to those really good REM cycles and that is where we dream in the REM cycle.
Maybe what I was getting to here.
Enough. You're going to find it very hard to recall dreams.
If you're not
if you're enough, yeah.
Can you teach yourself to dream?
I think we dream naturally. I mean, you can. I mean, there is the concept of creating a dream on a certain topic, and I've done that very rarely, but it does work. If you want to dream, and people who lucid dream, obviously, then you can, once you're able to lucid dream at will, you can choose a dream on any topic you want.
Really? You see, that's what you guys have talked about. Is that why you're into lucid dreaming? Look at Holly over there. She's smiling.
Holly and I, the producer, were talking to Lou the one day about lucid dreaming, and we both had said that we had accomplished it. And I seemed to have accomplished. I was even able to tell myself to look at my hands and some different things. And it seemed like right after that, like
you just stopped dreaming.
After what,
you blew the dreams up.
But, and Holly, you said that you had some experience with that, experiences.
Just here and there, intentional.
Do it naturally, and some people have to work at it. I have to work at it. I work the dream very, very rarely. It just doesn't come naturally to me. But my partner, for example, we decided to try the supplement, and I don't necessarily recommend this, but it's a natural supplement. It's made from a flower called snowdrop that's supposed to increase your lucid dreaming, and I really wanted to lucid dream, and he could take it or leave it, so we both took the snowdrop, and he had a lucid dream, and I did.
Right? Yeah. They said even as soon as I did, I stopped.
And what is the lucid dream again?
It's when you know, you can not control them, but you can tell yourself.
When you realize that you're dreaming, and then you can control the elements of your dream. So you can, if you want to be on the beach, you can say, okay, I'm changing the channel on a TV. You can change where you're at. You can do pretty much anything you want.
Now, see, I've never done that, but so maybe I don't lucid dream. When I've been in a dream, one day I was looking around, I said, remember that window. When you wake up, remember you were actually looking around and you saw that window. In one dream, I said to somebody in the dream, are you in a dream too? Because this is a dream. And I wanted to know if you're dreaming also. And they kind of just looked at me. So I don't know, would that be considered a lucid dream?
It is. When you know you're dreaming, that's a lucid dream.
Oh, okay.
Some people get to where they could sort of lucid dream at will, which is a whole different thing, which requires some psychological training. There's a really good book by Stephen LaBerge. He is, I think, a psychologist at Stanford, and he did all this work with, it's called lucid dreaming, I think. He has a whole protocol for it, which you have to be a pretty disciplined person to do.
To do that, yeah.
But I'm sure it works. If I were to have discipline, I'd probably do lucid dreaming.
Lou and I aren't even sure we can get a journal by our bed at night, so I'm not sure that book is for us. But...
Right.
You got to be kidding, I know.
Really. Not Dr. LaBerge's book. Not everybody is that
disciplined. Exactly. Well, let me ask you. I wanted to ask you a question. How did you get into tarot, into the dreamings and all that? And what do you hope to accomplish for yourself and for the people that you offer this service to?
Well, what's tarot? I mean, I got into tarot. I got my first tarot deck when I was 13, so that was a really long time ago. And I read for myself and for friends for a long time. And I still do that. But it's one of those things where people start saying, oh, you should do this professionally, so you do. But my idea with card reading is that it's empowering to people, that it helps them make better decisions. And I insist on that. It's like I will tell people, I don't mind saying this may be the likely outcome if you continue as you are, but I will never tell anyone that something's written in stone. So my idea with it, and particularly even more with the blog, at heart, I'm a writer. And my idea with the blog was just that when I first started getting into New Age things, after I had this really incredible dream, which I believe was the visit to the other side, I started getting into New Age things, and I started realizing that there's all this information out here, but it's not all created equal. And not that I'm the final word on discerning what is valid and what isn't, but I was willing to sort through it a little bit. And I don't do any negative reviews on the blog, but I just try to put resources out there. And it's not just New Age. As a matter of fact, it's more probably earth-based at this point. But I try to put resources out there that I feel that I have benefited me and that I feel could help other people. And that's my main point with doing it.
Well, and that's a worthwhile service to and ideal to have.
So we're going to, Barbara, are you capable of doing a reading for Lori? And this would probably precipitate some questions on my part, what kind of card comes up and how this all works.
You have to do this. I'm all scatterbrained today. So
yes, so she's scattered. So maybe this will unscatter her.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
So what did we do? You pick a card, or you pick 3 cards or 4 cards?
I do ask people on here if they have a question. I think that helps. Now, if you really don't have a question or a concern or an area you want me to focus on, that's fine too. I'm happy to do a general reading. But a lot of times, even if you say, oh, I want to know about career, or I want to know about, but totally up to you.
Oh, you want me to
do you tell me, Roy?
No, I was going to say, should I ask about the
radio?
Yeah, Lou and I have a couple of things in the fire, and and how will they proceed? Or I guess I'm not sure I'm asking it correctly, but I don't know.
Well, that's fine. We'll
Okay.
see. We'll ask just in general about
Some
your
endeavors. Some endeavors.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's kind of coming, and if there's anything you should know. I always like to throw that in there.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. So I'm just going to shuffle.
We're getting shuffled up here.
Jiggle.
And there
If you say the cards, I'll kind of pull these up for these guys
so
to
I can look at them.
Yeah.
Wow.
For anything career, I always shuffle 7 times. So I've done that now. Okay.
You're gonna tell Lori to run for the hill.
Okay. All right. Well, the first 3 cards, I'm going to tell you what I got for the first card is the Knight of Wands. And that, if you're looking at it, that shows a man, a very fiery knight on a horse. And wands tend to have to do with career, so this makes sense, or endeavors. And the knights are all about movement. Now, the Knight of Wands is in particular, I don't want to say it's like a wrath energy, but there's a lot of creative sparks, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of initiative, there's a lot of movement. So this is in the position of past, but I always say the past cards come up for a reason. So I feel like there was a lot of enthusiasm for these projects initially. And I'm not saying that's over with. I'm just saying that's kind of where all of it started.
Okay.
The card I got for the next card, and I'm going to pull a second card on this, is the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups shows a man offering a cup. It's a really pretty card, filled with flowers to a little girl. And there's a couple different meanings on this card. It could have to do with things in the past. I don't feel that's the case now. But it does have to do with giving, because the 2 of you are working on this together, you're male and female. I'm seeing the 2 of you sort of in this card. I mean, it's a very nice card. I think it's showing Lou as being a very giving person, having a lot to contribute, and having like a strong emotional connection too to the project.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to pull another card on this. Okay, good. The card I got here was the 7 of Pentacles. And if you look that one up, it shows the man. He's holding a staff. So again, we have that same staff. And I always look for patterns in the cards. We have that same staff, which is the staff of career. It's just like a wand. And he's holding that, and he's looking at these pentacles that are kind of in the leaves. So what it's telling me is that things are growing. I feel like you guys have planted some seeds here, and that you had a lot of energy and a lot of force. And that now you're kind of waiting for the yield, which can be difficult, especially when people are very focused and very creative. It can be difficult to say, okay, we've done everything we can now. We're going to have to wait for something to manifest. So I'm not saying there isn't more you can do. I'm saying you might be in that place now. Does any of this resonate?
Oh, yes.
So far?
Yes, it does. I guess I just have one question, and I'm not sure that answers it. But the wait time, is it appropriate, or should we be waiting to step back and see what happens, or is that a detriment to the plan?
Well, I did get another card for when I And it's like the 3 cards. The card I got for future was the 5 of Wands. So again, that's career and creative projects, but it's also conflict. It shows the guy's kind of fighting with the wand. So I almost feel that you have a lot of energy for this, which is a good thing. And I'm not saying put it on the back burner. I don't think that would be appropriate at all. I'm just saying sometimes you can only force things so much. And I kind of feel that's where you may be at now. But I'm going to draw another card on kind of the future, more like advice on the future than what's going to happen. Yeah, I got the King of Swords. And the King of Swords is about intellect and discernment. And I think I got the Judgment card, which is a real good card too. The King of Swords is about discernment. So I think you should be working on this. I mean, I think you should be working on it more in terms of conceptualizing and defining and discerning and kind of delineating really what you want, what the result you want with this. I do think it's appropriate to be building on it at this time. I think the message, though, of the 7 of Pentacles is just to give it time, not to quit. But I think because I feel like you're both very creative people. Creative people can be very impetuous, and we can sometimes batter our heads against something. I mean, I'm seeing a good result. I'm seeing judgment. So I don't know if what you're planning to do has to do with teaching or helping, or what you do really is you're bringing information to people, so you're enlightening people, and that's really what judgment means. So if these are projects around doing something like that, working with the public, enlightening the public, waking people up, which is really what the Judgment card means, then I think, yes, ultimately, I think, and it's a major arcana card. So that tells me that this is something that is very much a part of your life path, very central to who you are as people, and also very much a part of what you're here to do. So I think definitely you're on the right track. I think that just kind of take it easy, but that doesn't mean let it go. Continue to work on it, continue to talk about it, continue to brainstorm, continue to do all those things, but just kind of recognize that there's always issues with timing. And I think because I'm a spiritual person, I believe when we put something out there, that we kind of have to give Spirit or the universe or whatever a chance to bring it to us. It's not necessarily going to be instantaneous. So,
and that's true because we don't have a lot of patience. So that was right on there. So what did you think of that, Lou? Well, okay, Lou has patience. He's giving me the Lou, you have patience.
No, I loved it. Okay. It was all good stuff. I was waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Yeah, right. No, it wasn't good.
To say you better split while you can. Well, the getting is good, but it's all good stuff here. So I love it. So, And
one more thing I wanted to tell you real quick about the Judgment card, which I think this is really appropriate for you guys with the radio style. It's the Archangel Gabriel. And what he is doing in that card, if you look it up, he's blowing the horn. Awaken. Well, he's the messenger. He's the quintessential messenger. And you guys are doing that too. So
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Now, didn't we have somebody on here not too long ago said it was Michael, though. It was Michael the Archangel that was looking over me.
Well, that's funny because the King of Swords is Michael. Most people who work with angelic energies will say that, and you did get
he's the protector.
Well, that makes sense too.
Sorry, Michael.
They don't only have one job. They're angels that can do anything.
Well, just in case he was still right behind me.
Okay.
Because I was told, like, if there's certain stuff comes up, every time it's brought up, I was supposed to think good thoughts. So I don't want to. That's why I said I don't want
thinking.
I'm not in any position to start causing any waves.
Facebook too, and anyone's welcome to friend me on Facebook. I'm Barbara Graver on Facebook. But yeah, I do. I update. I post on the blog at Mystic Review, but at the readingsbybarbara.com site, I do have like an event page that I try to keep current with whatever I'm doing next. So people could always check that.
Check that out. Okay.
I'm just looking at some of the other stuff here. Psychic work, because we have a few more minutes here yet, Barbara, and.
Sure.
And I see, just looking at your website, once again, that's mysticreview.com for our listeners. And it says, you talk about telepathy and psychic sense of telepathy. What What do you
yeah,
do with that? Or that's not really your area of expertise?
No, I mean, that's really what the dream stuff is, was writing stuff down. Yeah, telepathy, I mean, you'll hear people talk, and I know we don't have much time, but you hear people talk about the four clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience. Clairaudience is what a lot of people call telepathy. I prefer telepathy because telepathy is really anything that's verbal or textual. So it could be an inner voice, it could be an outer voice, it could be lyrics from a song, it could be a message in a dream, it could be a lot of different things, and it's still all telepathic. It could be automatic writing, it could be stream of consciousness journaling when things come in between the lines. So telepathy is really a huge thing, and it's one of the easiest, aside from basic intuition, that kind of sixth sense sort of radar that everybody has. Telepathy is oftentimes an easier psychic sense for us to access than, say, clairvoyant, because so many people have been taught all their life, they've been told seeing is believing, that it's sometimes hard for people to reconnect with that ability to see, which we can obviously all do, or we wouldn't be able to see in dreams when our eyes are closed. But telepathy is probably the easiest psychic sense to start with. And the main thing I feel with all the psychic senses is just awareness, because the stuff comes so fast and it's so fleeting. Everybody's getting it, but a lot of people are missing it. So focus, to me, is key.
Focus
on telepathy.
And do a favor for me. Give an example of what each one of them are.
Sure. The traditional psychic senses, people will say clairaudience, and clairaudience is hearing. They correspond to our physical senses, and I only really like clairvoyant because I don't think those words really fit as well as they could. But clairaudience is what I would call telepathy. I consider anything verbal. I don't think you have to hear it. I think you could read it. I think you could see it. I think it could be oftentimes a discontinuous thought. But there's clairaudience, which is hearing, clairvoyance, which is from the French, clear seeing, and clairsentience, that is feeling, what I usually just call intuition, but it's feeling. It's when you walk into a church and you feel uplifted, or when you walk into a room right after an argument and you feel kind of jittery. It's something everybody has. A lot of people dismiss it, but they have it. And then claircognizance is when you just know something. And to me, clairsentience and claircognizance are both intuitive. I think they're kind of the right and left brain equivalent of intuition. So I just call them both intuition, but they are two separate things. And when you're claircognizant, you know stuff, but you don't know how you know. And it can be really tough for people, particularly if they have a partner or family situation where the person is real kind of left brain and analytical, and they want to know, how do you know that? How do you know about that person? How do you know about the situation? You're not sure. You just know. You're just sure. And you have the inner certainty. That's what people call claircognizance.
That's a very good explanation of all of them, because I know that Luke gave me the look after you'd said the names of them. So I think a lot of people would like to know exactly what they are.
And we get those questions a lot too. No matter what shows that we do, very often we get to talking. And you've even mentioned to me, Lori, too, that sometimes we talk about things with the assumption that people know what we're talking about.
People know, yeah. And it's always good to clarify, because I'd like you to touch on the fact that everybody has these, I don't want to call them powers, I don't know what to call them, these abilities. It's just whether you can connect or align with them. Do you believe that to be true?
Oh, absolutely. I've always just called them the psychic senses, because there are psychic senses. There's a non-physical aspect to ourselves and to our environment, and there's non-physical senses that go along with that. And I feel that these are tools that everybody's supposed to be using to help them navigate their lives. And unfortunately, our society, we live in such a materialistic society. I feel that's the main overriding problem with the world, is the materialism. It tends to really undervalue, even denigrate anything that has to do, anything that you can't see, anything that you can't quantify. So as children, we're saying that we see an angel, or we hear our grandmother's voice. I mean, kids do this all the time, and their parents say it's not real. And then they mean well. But what they're telling the child is to shut it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when we decide to reconnect with our psychic abilities, we've got to undo that. Because and the Scorpio month's a great time to do that.
There you go.
The process of releasing those messages. They're just as damaging as when somebody is an artist and someone tells them they can't paint. It's the same kind of thing. It can really set people down, but it can be reversed, definitely. If someone wants to, that's probably half the battle.
In wanting to, yes. Definitely. Well, I have to say our time is up, Barbara, and I want to thank you so much. You saved my show today and Lou's show today by coming on and on such short notice, and I really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
I definitely hope to get to see you at one or the other shows this upcoming weeks. And right before you go, would you go ahead and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you again and when your shows are?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you so much. It's really been fun.
Oh, I'm so glad.
You can go to my website. I have 2 websites. I actually have 3 websites, but we'll just do 2. I have readingsbybarbara.com, and that is my reading site. That's also if you want to find out more about my radio show, my free on-air readings, you go to that site. Anyone who is interested in knowing more about the readings, the paid readings, I do phone readings and local readings. And there's also my blog. If you'd like to learn anything more about any of the topics we talked about tonight, it's all on the blog. And the URL for that is mysticreview.com. So.
Barbara, thank you so much again. And
thank you.
And it was wonderful. Sites. And what did you think, Lou?
That was great.
I know we're running a little
Once
over,
again,
but
yeah,
I know.
absolutely another great show. And
very talented.
Every week is another eye-opening experience for me. So I love it. I love this show.
And I think she's really coming from a genuine spot. So, all right. And
for next week,
Next week, yes, please come. Thank you, and have a good week.